as I get older, I got more responsibility. I got a family to take care of. I've got dogs. We got road trips to go on. So I need more capabilities on my vehicle. I'm shopping around for an SUV, mid-size SUV, because I need more space. But I'm not that old and not quite done having fun yet. I like to drive, drivers drive, and I need something engaging. Well, cue in the Acura MDX Type S. But how does this stack up with everything else that's out there? Because it's not the only one. Well, we're gonna go find out. All right, let's accelerate right into this review. Oh, you guys hearing that? That's what I'm talking about right here. What I'm pushing is a 3-liter turbocharged V6 that gives you 355 horsepower and 354 pounds-feet of torque through a 10-speed transmission. Capable of doing 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. And may I add, it just sounds amazing. So that's a lot of the fun stuff. And as I'm gonna get out of sports mode right here, just because, you know, fuel, I want to get right into the functionality of it. Okay, I just gave you a little sneak peek about the fun part of it, but let's talk about what's real functional about it. 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds, yet I have 95 cubic feet overall space right back there. So definitely capable of carrying quite a lot. But also, you can load up to 7 people in this vehicle in the MDX. So, you know, lots of cargo space, but also lots of people space. Now, I will say that with the 3rd row up, you only have 18 cubic feet, which is still not bad. Definitely functional. You can do a lot with that. And in that 3rd row, you have, well, here I am in the 3rd row. It's about 29 inches of leg room. I'm only 5'9", and you can see that my head can actually touch the ceiling as well. So I wasn't a big fan of that, but you do have some connectivity. You got a USB port there to charge your device, and egress is also fairly easy. As you can see how I got in, it wasn't so bad. But once we're in the 2nd row, we're talking about 38 inches of leg room. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what I'm talking about. Because the 3rd row, I wasn't all that comfortable. 2nd row, much better. You have your sunshade, you have your tri-zone ventilation, you have a reclining, but you also can move your seat forward and aft. There's a lot of configurability about it too. That middle seat, that bench seat, you can actually just use it as a center console, so throw it down, and you know, you have a very good size storage for devices. And you know, 2 cup holders, they are a little bit small. You're not going to fit you know, big gulps in those cup holders, but you got the cup holders there, and you can remove that whole item if you want to turn this into a full captain's chair layout. So functionality, right? That's what we're talking about. Now, if you decide to put the 2nd row down, you have, correction, the 3rd row down, you have 48 cubic feet of space up there as well. So you can see, like, you know, you got 18, 48, and 95 cubic feet of space. You got 29 inches of leg room in that 3rd row, and you have 38 inches in the 2nd row, which is customizable whether you want a captain's chair, bench seat, or whatever you want to have. So the functionality is there, and that makes it a good family road tripper, and basically an all-around family vehicle with some fun. You gotta have fun. You gotta have fun in this segment, right? So, but what if you don't decide to get the Type S? Well, then you're gonna have a naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 that's gonna give you about 290 horsepower and 267 pounds-feet of torque. Again, through a 10-speed transmission. But what the Type S, for me, makes it, you know, the model to look at is the dynamic air suspension. Now the dynamic air suspension, obviously it changes on the drive modes that we have. So I'm gonna go right into those right now. Speaking of drive modes, you got lift, snow, comfort, normal, sport, and then you got Sport Plus. I'll get to that. But say obviously lift, you can lift as high up as 9 inches of ground clearance. Pretty impressive considering that the Honda Pilot, you know, same platform, Trail Sport, off-road version of the Pilot, had 8 inches of ground clearance. So here you got a whole other inch of ground clearance if you need it. Not that you're gonna off-road with the MDX. I'm not gonna go off-road with the MDX. I only have it for a week and I don't own it, and I'm still not off-roading with it. But what that gives me is there in the Great White North, when it's gonna be a heavy snowfall day, we're talking like just drop 8 inches of snow. You wake up in the morning, most vehicles are gonna be plowing that snow. You're gonna be on top of that. So I think that is definitely an added plus to choosing this vehicle. And speaking of the other drive modes, like I said, you got your sports and then you got Sports Plus. You're like, Pat, why are we doing Sports Plus? I actually had the same question. Like, what's the deal? If I want to go sport, like, let me go all out. You know, they don't give me another threshold to go through. Wow, the Sports Plus got some track-inspired torque vectoring, and it actually has like a G meter right into the gauges. The gauges are going to change. The 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, and it's just going to give you more information, and it's obviously going to kick you into gear with that acceleration. And it just sounds so great. I mean, like I said, it just gives you more information, and it gives you more power, more torque, and more boost. All good. And it's obviously going to lower the suspension all the way down for those sports mode, and it raises all the way up for the lift modes. So, makes sense, right? And that's something you don't get with any other model except for Type S. Another point for the Type S. But overall, that suspension, I can only talk about the air suspension because that's what my tester has. The comfort level I'm experiencing in this, when I put it in, it has, you know, comfort mode, really cushions it. But also, I see a big difference. Sometimes you don't see a massive difference when you're changing this, you know, from sports mode to other drive modes and other vehicles, because in the suspension, I'm talking about the suspension ride, and in this one you definitely feel it. You definitely feel how much more rigid it is in sports mode and how much more plush it is in comfort mode. Here I am driving in these rough mountainous roads here in Quebec, which Quebec is renowned for rough roads, and it absorbs the impacts, it absorbs the shocks really well. And I'm not even in comfort mode now. I was in normal mode. Now I'm going to comfort mode, and it takes these bumps like a champ. Now, I also alluded obviously to the digital gauge cluster, which is 12.3 inch. So we got two 12.3 inch screens. Definitely looks nice, modern look to it. Crisp quality screens. And that digital gauge cluster gives you not just your drive mode information, but also when you're using the advanced driver assist system and advanced cruise control, it actually comes with a radar equipped, and you'll actually see on the screens as you're passing vehicles on the highway, it'll show you, okay, you have a truck. It differs between trucks and cars. It's really cool, but the cool aspect of it is it's a worry-free system. It's still hands-on, not hands-free, but as far as the hands-on system, keeps you nice and centered, will adapt speed in curves, and you can actually initiate lane changes by tapping the turn signal, which is pretty cool as well. Moving off from this digital gauge cluster, I have my steering wheel. My steering wheel has got hard buttons, and everything is very functional. So you got your driver's assist over here on the right, and then you got your volume and everything. You know, nothing that takes a PhD in operating, and that's something I like to see. But now I'm going to take you over to the infotainment system, the 12.3 inch screen there on the infotainment system. Really good, really responsive, and it's got built-in Google software. So built-in Google Maps. You want to operate it via the Google Maps, but it also has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as expected, as it should be. But I just really want to mention that the built-in system, just no lag to it. Screen quality is great, and everything just functioned. I did not have any issues with the built-in software at all. Very responsive. Moving on down from the 12-inch screen, now this is where you got your HVAC controls, and you got toggles for the temperature. It's, you know, pretty straightforward, but also looks really nice. I just kind of wish it wasn't glossy black or piano black. So for that mention, since we're talking about the interior, I do see quite a bit of use of piano black that I would like to not see. But one thing that is right here that stood out to me is because you got heated and ventilated seats, you got auto for your temperature for your seats, and then you got another button, and that's your massage function, and it has 3 different intensity levels, just like your heated seats would. And I'm finally glad to say that this massage seat function will actually massage you and not just like, gently pet you a little bit on the back. You can actually put it into the 3rd level and you're gonna get some work done. Not obviously gonna replace a masseuse or anything, but it's finally not something that's gimmicky like I've seen in so many other vehicles. Very happy to say that. Moving on down from there though is where some of my disagreements might be with the whole ergonomics of it all. So you have your shifter and your drive mode switch right there. I'd rather you didn't because one of the things that was changed, and that is a good thing, is the trackpad is gone and the wireless charger for your phone is right there. So it's right next to the driver's workstation. So let's say you're resting your hand here. This is where your cell phone would be. This is where I want my shifter and my drive mode selector to be. I do not want to have to extend out to shift or to switch my drive modes. That being said, it is a piano key shifter, so I'm always not going to be a popular guy with a piano key shifter, but like I reviewed in the Honda Pilot, this is one of few, or the only piano key shifter that I've tested that I actually don't disapprove of entirely. Actually, I'm okay with it because I can landmark the reverse button with my index finger and just put my thumb on the drive. So that's what I want as an intuitive driver. I want to be able to switch from drive to reverse without having to look, and if I can landmark it, then we're good to go. And in this case, I can landmark it. I just don't like that I have to extend. I don't need accessibility to my cell phone that much, but accessibility to my shifter and driving mode, yes, I do. I want that. So just switch those two and we'll be very good. Overall, though, lots of space here in the middle. Everything got redesigned. I got a volume knob down here, which I like. I like that I can just switch it up. Like, again, don't have to extend anything. So I keep that, everything like that, just those 2 things, switch it up. Cup holders here. You can fit a big gulp, which is pretty good. Now let's talk about the seats. The seats that I'm sitting in right now it's got a combination of leatherette and suede in it, and it's got nice support on the sides. But where I'm very happy to announce is that the comfort level is really high for me because I'm obviously not, a skinny jeans kind of guy. I'm pretty wide, right? I got a lot of, shoulder width. I'm horizontally blessed, but vertically challenged, whatever you want to call it. And usually some seats, like I'm talking about Ford, maybe Lincoln as well, I find it a little bit narrow when they have that strong support bolstering on the sides, and in this case I do not. And I like that it's pretty cool too that it's highlighted with the suede fabric right there, so it's really nice and soft to the touch there. And then you got your nice perforated leather seats, again heated and ventilated seats, of course. Now I did just mention that they got rid of the trackpad. If you're wondering what else have they changed for this 2025 model year, well, they changed a couple things. For example, obviously the trackpad is one of them, but a little bit of the aesthetics in the front. So if we're looking at the overall aesthetics from the outside, one, I love it. It's a nice aggressive looking mid-size SUV, but also a lot less chrome. So they went with more glossy black. So, you know, pros and cons there. Depends on what you're a fan of. You look at the wheel design though. The wheel design definitely got changed. We're riding on 21-inch wheels, and we do have the nice bright red Brembo brakes in this Type S. So that's actually pretty nice looking. And the front grille, if you look at the front grille, now they call it the Diamond Pentagon grille, and maybe because it's October, I'm gonna go and call it the Black Spiderweb grille. Happy Halloween, everybody. But so yeah, it just looks like a spiderweb to me. Comment below if you feel like they should change the name to the Black Spiderweb. That's basically your modifications from the previous year. Also, this upgraded Type S doesn't have just 19 speakers. I mean, we're talking, that's rookie numbers, 19 speakers, right? That's what you get with the other trims. We're talking 31 speakers. We got a nice upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system. So now it's not the same as the B&O. B&O would be like a trim below that. So Bang & Olufsen definitely sounds great. And if you don't feel like banging to those 31 speakers, the overall cabin sound aesthetics, whatever you want to call it, the soundproofing of it is really good. On the highways, the highway speed, you don't hear much road noise, so it's pretty quiet ride. And of course, with the panoramic sunroof, everything is really nice and bright inside, especially on this nice fall day. You can see the nice bright colors going on all around, not just the nice bright red seats, which comment below what you think about the red seats. You can actually choose different colors, of course, but it's not bad. Okay, so you're gonna ask, okay, Pat, that's great, you love the car, everything about it is great, tell us about the price already. All right, I'll tell you. It starts in the US at $51,000 US and goes all the way up to $75,000. Now in Canada, you're gonna have a bigger jump for that starting price because we don't have two-wheel drive. We only start at all-wheel drive. So that's gonna start at $69,000 and goes all the way up to $90,000 with some added options. This one here, it's got floor mats, got a couple of other options on there. So you're looking at $92,000 Canadian for this tester, which is gonna maybe make some people cringe, but it's only gonna make you cringe if you're comparing it to mid-size SUVs and not exactly performance mid-size SUVs. I'm not sure if you're tracking here, but you're not going to compare this to, I don't know, a Honda Pilot, obviously. It obviously shares the same platform, but they're nothing the same. I reviewed the Pilot, and this doesn't just drive like a regular naturally aspirated V6. Personally, that's why I said if I was to get the Acura MDX, I would get the Type S. Otherwise, I'm not sure that it's going to be as much fun to drive if you don't. But if you're comparing it to like Infiniti QX60, well, this is we test drove that vehicle and this performs a lot better. It feels a lot faster. It definitely is a lot faster. The suspension is definitely more well tuned, and the overall cargo space is relatively the same. So you got to keep that in mind. Now, I think the biggest comparison is going to do, because you obviously have the Audi Q7 that's going to be a little bit more of a performance vehicle, but what the price ends here is where it starts there. So I mean, for a good balance, functionality, price, and fun to drive, I think this nailed it. You're obviously going to compare it to the Lexus TX the most. TX is a little bit more spacious. Sorry, it has more cargo space, has maybe an inch more of legroom in the second row, and more legroom as well in the third row. So it's maybe a little bit more on the practicality side, but not as much on the fun side as the MDX. As with anything that's fun, it's going to cost you not just financially, but it's also going to cost you in fuel. So you're looking at 13.8 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 11.2 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway. Miles per gallon, that translates to 17 miles per gallon and 21 miles per gallon on the highway. So the fuel numbers might be where this might hurt a little bit more, where the numbers aren't as favorable as all these other spec numbers I've talked about. What am I getting in real life? Well, you can, driving it for a week and not driving it conservatively, I'm at about 12.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So we're closer to that 17 miles per gallon. But that being said, I did drive it for maybe a day or two in a conservative fashion out of the week that I had it. And you can actually get around 11.5 liters per 100 kilometers if you're driving a combination of highway and city. That's going to translate more around 21 miles per gallon. So the numbers they give you are actually, correct. I just wish they were a little bit better. So pros and cons. This, a lot of fun to drive, all right? From the air suspension and everything I talked about and drivability, it's a lot of fun. Definitely a pro. Rumble of that turbocharged V6. Yes. Value. Now here's something you might not have been expecting me to say. Something that's, $79,000 US or $90,000 Canadian is a good value. Pat, what are you talking about? But like I've said, compare it apples to apples. Compare it to what else is out there that's actually engaging like this and has, a decent 0 to 60 time. Well, you're going to find out that most of them are higher up in price. They're going to cost you more than this. So yes, I'm going to throw this as a deal as a value standpoint. Negative, well, it comes with the performance aspect of it. So the fuel economy, not that great. Another thing is the ergonometry inside of it, where the shifter's located and where the wireless charger is. I just like these two to be swapped in locations so that, my cell phone is less accessible than my shifter, or vice versa, whatever you want to call it. Drivers want to focus on driving. That's just my thought on this, especially when something is this much fun to drive. Hey, put the phone away, right? That being said, I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear what you guys think. You guys are what really matters. I'm just an outsider, like I said, doing car reviews. But that's my outside the box take on this vehicle. So comment below, let me know, and we'll see you in the next review.